Coming up on City Spotlight, we start the second half of Season 11 of City Spotlight. It's another episode featuring two communities. First, we're back in Decatur at Millikin University. We'll talk with Millikin President Dr. Jim Reynolds about the current school year at Millikin, the latest on facilities at Millikin, and Jim reflects on his time as president of Millikin. Then we head down to Mattoon and visit the Emerald Acres Sports Connection. We'll talk with the general manager of Emerald Acres Sports Connection, Tyler Yoder. Tyler will give us an overview of this new sports facility in Mattoon, plus what this new facility provides to the Central Illinois region. We're kicking off the second half of Season 11 of City Spotlight as we talk Decatur and Mattoon here on City Spotlight.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we're on location for this episode, another episode featuring two communities. We're going to start this episode in Decatur at a familiar spot, Millikin University, and we're taping once again in the wonderful facilities of Schilling Hall. And welcome back to the program for a third time here on City Spotlight, the president of Millikin University, Dr. Jim Reynolds. Jim, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you for coming back and talking with us.
Excellent. Glad to be here. Glad to be inside on this chilly February 13th. A little chill on this morning, and glad to be inside talking to Jim here for a third time on City Spotlight. And again, we're taping here on February 13th, 2025. So you're more than halfway through the academic school year of 2024-25. How's it going?
It's been a good year for us. Our enrollment was up a little bit this fall, and that's always a good thing for a small independent university like ours. Still people here are very connected with students and really enjoy the work, and so it's been a good year for us so far.
Fantastic. Last taped with Jim, end of 2022, so long overdue, a couple years since we last taped with you. And tell us about any new curriculum or tweaks to your curriculum since we last taped a little over 2 years ago.
We haven't added any additional programs. We're working on adding some additional graduate programs in the near future. I think the thing that we've done that I'm really impressed by and thankful for is reaching out to our community college partners in the area. We've signed a number of articulation agreements. Those are making our ability to have seamless transfer opportunities for those students to come to Millikin, and just been a really good session for us to talk with our community college partners.
We were talking about that just before we hit the record button. In fact, recently, just before we, about a week before we're taping here on February 13th, you announced a simpler way for transferring from Lincoln Land to Millikin. So talk about that important step for future students that may come via that route.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of barriers for students coming from community college to a small institution like ours, and we wanted to remove those barriers. One big barrier was what courses of mine will transfer. And so we've made it so that if you have an associate's degree in a couple of different areas, depending on the institution that we're working with, we'll accept all your credits, and you'll still just have about 2 years left to finish a major on our campus. The second barrier is always cost.
Right.
And so we've worked really hard to try to change our tuition structure and to offer opportunities for students that are from the state of Illinois that are transferring directly to Millikin.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And let's move on to a big one, facility work. Always something going on somewhere, something being built. And the latest project is a new athletic center being built. It's next to the Griswold Physical Education Center. Tell us about that project. It's large in scale.
Yeah, so we run out of space. Griswold was built probably 50 some odd years ago.
Okay.
And so at that time it was built for 6 athletic teams, all male. We have 21 athletic teams, both men's and women's sports, and so we're out of space.
Right.
The new athletic center will provide a large locker room space, offices for coaches, a 5,000 square foot weight room and facility, and some other things that I think will be really important for us on our campus. It's on budget and on schedule. We should open it the middle of July.
Okay.
Probably we'll be able to occupy it towards the end of that month.
Right.
But we'll be able to get in there about the middle of July.
Always neat to be able to open a new facility, I guess at the beginning of a new school year. And you told me before we hit the record button, the football team will be able to start using that as they get ready for their next season.
Right, so we have a large locker room space in there that will be shared. And so the football team will be able to start their season this fall in the new facility. We're just really excited for them.
And every facility or building like that on a campus has a name. So what's the name? I'm a little afraid to say it, so I'll let you say what's the official name.
It's the David and Debbie Rathje Athletic Center, named after a lead donor here in town.
Okay, very good. And also looking forward, you're recently in the last decade, you had obviously you built some new baseball and softball fields, and in 2 years you're going to be able to host a Division III championship. So talk about those opportunities to bring those type of grand scale events to Millikin and Decatur.
A very generous alumni family, the Workman family, donated money for both the baseball and softball facilities. They're state of the art. They're absolutely the best facilities, I think, in the Midwest, if not across the region.
Right.
Because we've hosted conference championships and regional competitions, the NCAA has put us on their map.
Very good.
And so because the quality of the facilities and the surrounding community, they felt like it'd be a good place to hold a championship. So we're excited about that.
That's very exciting. Bring a number of people from wherever to Millikin and Decatur. Right. You also have coming up at the Kirkland Fine Arts Center in next month, March, you have actor, author Nick Offerman coming. So you got all kinds of things coming to Millikin. Talk about Millikin being a destination for things like that and people like Nick Offerman to come to your campus.
Yeah, I kid with people a lot. I say Decatur's the center of the universe. We're really proud to be able to bring that type of entertainment, quality entertainment, to Decatur and Central Illinois. We have, again, some generous donors that allow us to do that. Right. Nick Offerman's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a terrific program. There are tickets still on sale. Kirkland Fine Arts Center holds about 2,000 people, so we can put a pretty good group in there.
All right, we'll have that on our community calendar segment coming up. And any accolades you'd like to brag about Millikin here? Sometimes those are fun to share about, any notable accolades, whether regionally or nationally.
I will say that we've been really busy looking for extramural funding for a number of our programs. And one of our chemistry faculty members, Kyle Knust, was successful at writing a National Science Foundation grant for almost $1 million. To help to bring students to campus that come from underrepresented minority groups to be a part of the STEM process, to look at STEM majors, particularly chemistry. So we're really proud of that one. That's probably where I would go first.
Okay, very good. All right, in our last 5 minutes or so with Jim, third time on City Spotlight. You are retiring at the end of this academic school year, so end of June.
End of June.
Okay, very good. You were hired during a very interesting time, COVID, summer 2020. I remember again, before we hit the record button, the first time we taped, we couldn't have been more further apart outside, but it was a beautiful day nonetheless. Yeah. So what are you most proud of your time here at Millikin?
When people ask about legacy for me, I always focus on what have we done for students. And over the course of the time I've been here, we've graduated close to 2,000 students. That's something I'm very proud of. As a first-generation college student, I know how important it is to have access to higher education, and I think we've done a really good job of providing more opportunity for those students. I'm really proud of the work that I've done internally. It was a difficult time, coming here in the midst of a pandemic where there was really a lot of uncertainty, and I think colleges and universities had a really tough time. I'm proud of our resiliency. We worked really hard to try to bring it back to pre-pandemic levels.
Right.
I feel good about the future. There's a lot of really good people here that I've hired that I think really understand the mission and the values of the institution, and will be carrying forward, what I think are the most important elements of a Millikin education.
Leaders of higher ed institutions, you're not here forever, and obviously you and your predecessor, and then the next Millikin president, which will be the 17th president of Millikin. The plans here at Millikin all overlap through presidents, so you've had all these facilities, obviously the beautiful Fine Arts Center, so that's going to make you proud to be able to carry on the plan of Millikin, not just maybe individual plans that you have.
Right, places like Millikin really matter. It's always hard for me when an institution decides that they can no longer go forward. I think that those small institutions really have a character for the students that they serve. And Millikin is going to be here for a long time after I leave. And I think the next president will have the opportunity to bring Millikin into the forefront again. I think we did a lot of really good work, like I said, internally during the pandemic and over the last couple of years. Now the opportunity is Millikin gets the chance to bloom again. And so I'm really excited for the next president.
Next president Millikin will be hired later here, probably sometime during your last couple of months here.
Right. We have finalists coming on campus next week.
Wonderful.
We'll have 4 finalists.
Okay.
They'll be interviewed during the course of the week, and then our board meets at the end of this month, and that will be one of their primary responsibilities at their meeting, is to elect the next president.
And Millikin is approaching 125 years old, so for that next Millikin president, once you're done, what advice do you have for them about being a president at Millikin?
Well, first, I think be your authentic self. I think this is a place that really requires you to be who you are. Secondly, be mindful of the good things here in town. I'm biased. Decatur's my hometown, but I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for the next president to do some really good work with the community members. And I think the last thing I would say to them is recognize the value of this institution. Sometimes we hide our light under a bushel, and we don't really talk about all the good things that are happening at the institution. I think that being proud of who we are and what we can accomplish is really significant. So I think the next president has the opportunity to do a lot of that.
Well, we appreciate your insight and time here on City Spotlight. Dr. Jim Reynolds, president of Millikin, 3 times on this program. Happy early retirement, and congratulations on everything that has been accomplished during your time here. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming back to see me.
Always a pleasure to come back to Millikin and talk with Jim here on City Spotlight. Coming up next here on City Spotlight, we'll change locations and communities. We'll head down Route 121 to Mattoon. We'll get an inside look for the first time of the Emerald Acres Sports Connection. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in the communities of Decatur and Mattoon. And we're back here on City Spotlight, this 2-community episode. We've traveled from Decatur, now back down to Mattoon, and we are taping for a first time at Emerald Acres Sports Connection in Mattoon here on this final day of January 2025. And pleased to be inside this new facility that's been open a couple of months. And to help us out, we welcome to the first time to the program the General Manager for the Emerald Acres Sports Connection, Tyler Yoder. Tyler, welcome to the program.
Very excited. Thanks for having me.
Very excited to be here myself. I know this facility has been open since the end of 2024 in December, the grand opening. We'll talk about that and what this whole facility encompasses, but you're a first-time guest. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, originally from Champaign, Illinois, so excited to be back from this area. Grew up in Champaign, went over to college in the state of Indiana, found my way down south in both Georgia and Louisiana last 6 years. Excited to kind of come back to the area, obviously very familiar with Mattoon and the location geographically within the region, and excited to be back and ultimately managing this beautiful facility.
All right, before we talk about this facility, what got you to this point? And you're the general manager, so you oversee this facility and the people that work underneath you. When this opportunity presented itself, why were you excited to jump at the task?
Yeah, originally when I started my career, it ultimately started off in college athletics, specifically from a facility and event management perspective. So really overseeing all the stadiums, each event that happened throughout all of my stops in college athletics, but ultimately found this opportunity in Mattoon, ultimately this kind of transition from college athletics to the idea of sports tourism, which is what this venue is all about, and really focusing on the tourism piece, bringing people into the city of Mattoon from across the region, from across the country. So when I saw this facility, all of its assets, you know, phase 1, phase 2, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, of ultimately what the venue offers, I saw that and immediately jumped on the opportunity and really just wanted to try to get back home, close to family, and kind of where my roots are.
That makes it easy when you have family nearby. Very good. All right, so I've interviewed multiple people, community leaders in Mattoon, leading up to this facility being built, about it becoming a reality here in Mattoon. So a pretty easy question, I think, Tyler, maybe an easy answer, I don't know. Why was this needed in Mattoon and this area/region?
Yeah, so the conversation around Emerald Acres really dates back to 2018, 2019, when a lot of community leaders, whether it's city council or members of our board, Mattoon Sports Connection, Inc., really just trying to focus on how can they bring tourism, how can they bring visitors to the city of Mattoon, really drive the economic impact. And what they found, a lot of feasibility studies, was through sports tourism. Sports tourism, ultimately a $58.2 billion industry. It's a very large industry that's, you know, taken the country by storm over the past decade. And they found that a lot of visitors, of course the youth, really plays in a lot of sport that kind of transitions to families traveling all across the country. And we really found that to be one of the roots right here in Mattoon. Obviously very sports-centric city, and a lot of history behind that. So the idea of bringing in a sports complex, both an indoor-outdoor side of things, really related to what Mattoon has offered in the past and what we can see from it in the future.
You touched upon Mattoon and its deep heritage in sports, all the ball diamonds, and obviously the summer baseball ball diamond tournaments. It could be easy to sit down and talk about the economic impact, but maybe it's too early. Maybe people don't want to hear those numbers.
Sure.
Something that we talk about on this program, City Spotlight, with communities is the quality of life component. Maybe you just already touched upon it. But what do you think, from a quality of life perspective, this facility brings to Mattoon and the surrounding area?
Yeah, really ultimately my main focus is jobs. Obviously the economic driver from a money perspective is probably the most important, but really when it comes down to it, we're getting all these travelers coming in, roughly about 580,000 visitors a year. And what that brings in is hopefully able to showcase everything that not only the venue has to offer, but the city of Mattoon has to offer as well. And the mayor said it best during our grand opening that we have roughly 22,000 cars that travel down I-57 past Mattoon every day.
Right.
So it's a big opportunity for us not to only sell the venue, but ultimately everything that Mattoon has to offer, whether it's entertainment, restaurants, local businesses. Of course, we're kind of building that business district right around the venue with the Chick-fil-A's, Tex Roadhouse, all those other things. But it's very important that as those visitors come in, we're also pushing out business to the city and Coles County and the local area on all the existing businesses that we have here already.
All right, so tell us about the grand opening that took place in December of 2024. What were your thoughts? Reminisce a little bit for a second here. What were your thoughts that day that this place is here, albeit phase 1? Yeah, it's here.
No, it was incredible 2 days. What spanned on December 6th, December 7th, when we really kind of opened it up to the city of Mattoon. It felt like a long time coming. I was here, onboarded here in February, so I got to see this facility built from the ground up, and that was probably the most fulfilling part about this process, and really just to see that gradually take place every single day, every week, every month, gradually getting to that point where we're ready to open it up to the community and just being able to open our doors, welcome in the community, see everybody's smiling faces, come in the venue, kind of like that all factor of, oh wow, it's really here, how big it is, you know, all the amenities that we offer. Is a great day, great 2 days to be able to open up those doors to the community, showcase what we have to offer, and ultimately kind of get them in on a daily basis and show how we can be an asset to the community.
As folks can see, we are taping inside at Emerald Acres Sports Connection. It is phase 1 of 2. There's obviously an outdoor component. We'll talk about that at the end of the interview. But give us some cliff notes of this facility. You told me the number of square footage. Give us a cliff notes of those numbers and what it all entails.
Sure. Yeah, this venue, phase 1, is right at 140,000 square feet in total. Right behind us is 75,000 square feet of hardwood, resulting in 8 basketball courts, 16 volleyball courts, all kind of a multi-purpose field. You can kind of see we're trying to prepare for the volleyball tournament we have this upcoming
weekend. You guys were
weekend.
stripping off some tape from the floor when I got here.
Yep, that way we can offer pickleball, racquetball, you name it. We're trying to offer as many sports as we can, and obviously prepping for this tournament that we have this upcoming weekend, 68-team volleyball tournament coming up.
Wow.
All from across the region. Those are the events that we're trying to offer.
High school or?
High school.
Very good. And that's exactly what a place like this can do.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very exciting for us. Of course, we want to be able to kind of find that middle ground of how are we impacting the region, getting teams in here from the tourism perspective, but also can we find the local clubs to also compete in these sort of venues. Obviously a venue right here in their backyard, but something that we're very excited to offer. I mentioned the 8 basketball courts, 16 volleyball courts. We have a lot of technology here in the venue. As you can see, all the scoreboards behind us. We have 8 scoreboards for each court. That we offer, of course, on the exterior, the nice main venue board that we can use for advertisements. I think one of the biggest features that we have here in this venue that's very unique is the partnership we have with Sarah Bush. That walk-in clinic has since moved and is now on site. So that's something that.
So that's their new location of their pre-existing clinic that was didn't have to move too far.
Yep, just down the road. Now it's actually right here on site, still open and available to the public. But of course, I think it's when you have a sports tournament or just a sports complex in general. God forbid, you're focused on the health and safety of everybody participating, and being able to have that right here on site is a very unique offering that we do have. Of course, the on-site cafe, a full kitchen that we do offer along with the meeting rooms, the locker rooms that we do have. There's a lot of flexibility within this space that offers us to focus on the sports, but also on the community, whether it's a networking convention, business expo, birthday parties, you name it. We're trying to have it be a one-stop shop that can focus on all those offerings.
And one neat aspect, as we rode the elevator to this upper level, so we could have this nice, beautiful vantage point, you have an arcade.
We do have an arcade. I think that's been one of the most exciting things that we offer here in the venue. It's been very popular over this first month and a half, ultimately resulting in 45 games that we have right here on site. So the idea is, if we're having a volleyball tournament and little brother might not want to watch sister play volleyball, throw them right here in the arcade, keep them all on site, keep them happy with the food, with the arcade and all the offerings that we have. But it's been very popular. Of course, we want to see that being used during our tournaments, but also from the day-to-day, get the community out here, give them something to do on a midweek, and really kind of let them loose and have a good time.
As we rode that elevator up, I reminisced, because I'm from Charleston, but having gone to the Cross County Mall countless times through the years, I remember there being an arcade in there, so it's kind of cool to get kind of that reminisce, and arcades are still a thing, so I know it's a small part, but it's a pretty neat little aspect you have there. I know it's early and you don't want to, I'm going to ask you the favorites question. Do you have a favorite aspect of this facility to this point?
I would say right now, right where we are at this very point, this vantage point, being able to oversee the entire court, I think that's one of the big eye catchers.
And it's going to be very cool when you have all those volleyball games going on to see it being used in full capacity.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling, not only just to see the sheer size of the space, but when we really get the tournaments going and we see the courts being used, just a very fulfilling thing to see, kind of overlooking all the courts. It's a very nice feature to have.
So Tyler, a place like this, it's a large space. You mentioned the sheer size of it. You're not the only person here. It takes a lot of staff to run this. Tell us about the number of staff that you have running this place.
Yeah, currently I have 7 full-time staff here with me right now. Ultimately, we'll try to get up to that 35 mark in terms of a full-time role. A lot of part-time positions that we're bringing here as well. We have 30 part-time here on staff as well, but as we transition into phase 2, and that spans over the 150 acres that the entire complex will be, we'll probably be closer to 100, 150 part-time staff with us here on site. So it's a big group effort for sure, and a lot of space we need to cover.
Still a relatively new facility. People sign up for however they can use it so far through 2 months. What feedback have you heard from the people that use it maybe on a weekly basis?
Yeah, a lot of good feedback ultimately results from the arcade. I think that's one thing that we don't really have here in this area, is that entertainment factor. Arcades certainly being one of them, but being able to get the families, the friends, all on the courts to use that, whether they want to rent that court for the hour. Ultimately, we'll transition and start offering leagues, whether it's adult leagues, adult volleyball, adult basketball, but also youth. I think that's the biggest piece to this, start offering some of those leagues or in-house tournaments. Really just being able to get people here in the venue, allow them to enjoy it however they'd like to use it. That's still a very new component, becoming used to seeing it, and obviously that next phase of Emerald Acres Sports Connection is the outdoor ball fields right up against the interstate. It's going to alter the vantage point when you're driving past Mattoon or approaching Mattoon. Now you're going to see that first.
So tell us about that next phase. What is the rough timeline on that for all the ball diamonds, and how many roughly ball diamonds will be built?
Yeah, so we're looking to start breaking ground here in April.
Okay.
The end goal is a summer 2026 opening.
Okay.
What that would result in is 4 ball diamonds ranging from 200 feet to 400 feet. And then the 8 multi-purpose soccer fields. Those will all be turf, both baseball, softball, and soccer. What that will result in is the idea of a multi-purpose field. So we can also take those 4 diamonds as championship fields and transition them over to the soccer fields as well, ultimately offering up to 22 diamond sports at one time.
Is the idea, this is a follow-up question I didn't have listed, but obviously Mattoon has a rich history, as you mentioned right off the top, of all the ball diamonds across the community, for all those, whether it be Bagel Fest tournaments. Is the idea for there to be new tournaments that blossom from it, or could there be kind of a merging of some of the pre-existing over here as well?
I think it's going to be a mix of both. Of course, we want to sell our brand and have that brand recognition, right? Get the community aware of who we are and what we're doing, but also, really start to include the county, the city of Mattoon. There's certainly a lot of ball fields here in the Mattoon as well. So I think that partnership in time will allow us to have bigger, better tournaments all across the city and not just here on campus.
We've been seeing video across this interview while Tyler fills us in with all the information of this brand new facility. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Tyler, before we wrap up?
Really, it's just, feel free to come out and join us here at Emerald Acres. We want to be able to open up the doors to our community and showcase what's a new asset to the city of Mattoon. Of course, we want to focus on our partnerships across all the businesses. We know that we're going to get thousands of people here throughout each weekend, but they're going to spend a few hours here at the venue, but it was very strategic in how we built this venue and what we have to offer. We know that while they'll be here for a few hours with family and friends, what are they doing, where are they going when they're not here at the venue? And hopefully we're showcasing everything that we have to offer here in Mattoon and really get the community involved and really raise the economy that way.
Delighted to be inside Emerald Acres Sports Connection for the first time, and we know there's a lot more to come, as we just talked about, with all the outdoor ball diamonds to be built and roughly completed in 2026. Tyler Yoder, General Manager of Emerald Acres Sports Connection. Pleasure to be here, and look forward to seeing continued success inside and obviously what's to come on the outside.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And that'll do it for our latest City Spotlight episode featuring 2 communities, Decatur and Mattoon, here in season 11. Thanks for watching.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.